From the 14th.
Thank you, Mr. President. So first of all, I'd like to acknowledge the hard work of the members of the Joint Finance team on both sides of the aisle, and even those members in the Assembly. They provided a lot of comic relief from time to time, especially the leadership, our chair and our vice chair. For as much work as we all did, they did even more. And for as much work they did, their staff, and then Director Lang and the Fiscal Bureau staff did even more. So we couldn't have done it with all of those folks pulling together. So I do believe that we have made a reasonable and responsible budget that makes investments in the priorities of Wisconsinites. Happy to be part of that process. We did listen to constituents in our districts, in listening sessions around the state. I'm pleased with this budget. We took a $7 billion surplus. We invested wisely in those surplus dollars, that one-time money, without starting new programs and projects that would only dig holes moving forward for the next budgets in the future. I'd like to focus remarks on a couple portions of the budget. First of all, the tourism budget piece. That's our third leading industry in Wisconsin. It's such an important piece to our economic health in Wisconsin, especially in the 14th Senate District. And there's no doubt that the tourism industry was hit hard during the pandemic. Leisure visits have rebounded, and this budget will allow smart investment to continue tourism's impact to grow. That department uses data and their prosperity to visit model to target where and how to use their marketing dollars and agency resources. The department announced recently the economic impact numbers for 2022 was a $23.7 billion economic impact in Wisconsin, a 13% increase from the economic impact of the prior year in 2021. In this budget, our total investment is $45.5 million and provides them flexibility. It's our smallest department, but a mighty group. And this budget will continue to build on their hard work and the success of the Department of Tourism, their partners in chambers and destiny organizations around the state, and the small businesses that have struggled and have now started to regain their footing. The new Opportunity Fund, a plan design that will follow with partnerships between WEDC and tourism, working together will allow us to compete and potentially win and attract events like the NFL draft, conventions, and other large-scale events, something that is innovative and will support tourism in Wisconsin. Another huge piece I'd like to mention is something that was mentioned earlier, but I'd like to dig in a little bit more. And this is to highlight our historic investment in the state's building program. A total of $2.382 billion was invested in the building program, and just over half of that, $1.234 in cash for those projects. Now, the program approved major projects across the University of Wisconsin system with academic buildings and multiple campus projects, and the UW State Hygiene Lab in Barron. Now, one of the underreported sections of the UW investment, because we've really only heard about one, but one of the underreported ones was the one that was at the top of system asks, and that was $135 million for the Instructional Space Projects Program. I'm not talking about airplanes, I'm talking about academics, and minor facilities renewal. This will alleviate long overdue deferred maintenance for every campus. Every state agency will see investment, first by providing $600 million in all agency projects, from general maintenance, utility upgrades, energy conservation, and more. For the Department of Corrections, $129 million that includes the Type 1 juvenile facility that's long overdue, but this will be at Milwaukee. We all know what the hang-ups were in getting that one cited and accomplished. In our Department of Natural Resources, $60 million in parks, state-owned structures like dams and locks, wildfire and forest fire response, and it includes $10 million for the DNR to provide development and updates to our state trails. Now, just to highlight a few of our non-agency investments, some were flashy, like the extra $42 million in the revised estimate for the Wisconsin History Museum, or $12.5 million for the Cream Puff Pavilion renovation at State Fair Park. But some of our investments will make a direct impact on the health of our citizens now and in the future. Marquette Dental School upgrades, our state dental school. This supports training of our future dental students, but also their service to some of the most difficult dental cases in the state. Also, the dental clinic expansion at Children's Hospital. We've all heard of the backlog and difficulty in getting pediatric dental care for children on Badger Care. Children's of Wisconsin dental clinics are the greatest provider in Wisconsin for taking care of these youngsters. And this will expand their capacity to serve this population already across the state, but even more widely. And the Versity Blood Research Center. This premier research center in the U.S. focused on blood health, blood cancers, cellular therapy, and immunology working at the Medical College of Wisconsin is really a game changer, not just that they do blood drives in the Milwaukee area. Now, what's even more exciting is the establishment of a $50 million fund for non-state organizations to apply for funds to assist with their local projects. These projects don't follow our budget timelines, and nor should they. They would be able to apply when they were ready. Now, here's the real bottom line and how these one-time funds are being used to impact our future budgets. With over $1.2 billion cash in our building program, if that was borrowed, it would have cost us an estimated $450 million in interest over the 20-year terms of normal general fund-supported borrowing, freeing funding for our super budgets. And finally, one of my colleagues mentioned another use of one-time funds to save funds for the future. Now, a few of you were in the legislature. By my count, 4 of you were in the legislature when the tobacco settlement was finalized in 1999. Instead of agreeing to the annual payment schedule, Wisconsin in 2002 and again in 2007 securitized those payments to get more money up front to fill budget holes. As of December 2022, principal on those tobacco settlement bonds totaled $1.4 billion. Now, the committee provided $400 million to pay down the tobacco settlement appropriation obligation debt. It's a pretty good bite out of that. But again, using some of our surplus cash to pay down this debt will save the state about $30 million annually. Now, I'm proud of the budget that JFC created. They were smart investments. We used $7 billion surplus wisely in investments without creating future budget deficits. We made one-time surplus dollars wisely spent in Wisconsin. The vote on this budget is yes for Wisconsin. Thank you, Mr. President.
Questions passed.